Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy healthy start to this nice first day of August. It's the first day of August. We got some nice clean skies in the background over here, some beautiful trees as I'm deep inside the forest yet again with Elsa's parents, who actually don't speak a lick of English, but they're very nice people, and it's actually quite enjoyable to reset in the foresty regions of Finland. Anyways, plenty to discuss today as we got the new monthly, meaning that we are going to revisit the higher term time frame macro picture very early here, and then we'll get into a relatively shorter term picture as well, as there are several things kind of aligning with each other right now. All right, sweet. So let's just jump into it right here. Let's start it off with the monthly look on Bitcoin for the accumulation distribution indicator. Now, this is the indicator that I use to, or at least that I hold in the highest regard for calling, or at least entertaining the possibilities of a macro cycle low. With that in mind, we have never, ever, not once ever seen a macro cycle low without the accumulation distribution indicator getting down to the green horizontal bar where my cursor currently is right now. Admittedly, there's only 4 prior cycles really to be going off of, so ultimately there's not too much to be tested here, but there are a few interesting things with that. So the perhaps hopium, maybe, depending upon your sort of disposition, is that the accumulation distribution indicator has taken another major tick down here. Let me actually get rid of this red X. It's taken another major tick down here. So it would be reasonable to say that this perhaps could get tested as early as September, which is just 1 month away, extremely likely by October. So between September, October, this is looking, quite likely. But anyways, to show the results of backtesting it, you can see from all the green vertical bars that those areas on a monthly basis basically correlate with the lows. There's only one time, actually in 2019, it was technically 1 month before the low, but on a closing basis, this was, close enough is close enough in this case, as you can see, really only a few percent off right there. So ultimately, it's a good guide as to, how close we are. So I would say that things are getting obviously much closer here, but still not there, still not actually there. So with that in mind, what I've also done here is I've done a statistical analysis on the average correction. Make sure you get rid of this for now. From the time when the indicator itself turns red to the time when the actual low is put in. And you could call this correction, you could call it a crash, because it is a fucking crash, obviously, but 61%, god damn it. But yeah, did average out to about 61.34%. So again, there's not too many iterations with this, but for the ones that we do have, there actually isn't that much variance with them, which is interesting. And in this case right here, if we were to take the average of that and take it from the time when it turned red, which was May of 2022, then that could put Bitcoin, as low as about $15,500. Now, when we're talking about a current low of 17,500 versus 15,500, is that close enough? I mean, it could very well be. So I do still think that kind of like the most reasonable worst case scenario would be that $15,500 region. If things do fail below there, I would just want to be on the record as saying, as I have been for the past few months here, I strongly believe 12,000, 14,000, 10,000, whatever the fuck these numbers are that people keep on bringing up, that will not be the low. Things will go much, much lower, and and you'll probably see like a black swan in between there as well. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know, because I'm not I don't have a crystal ball, nor am I clairvoyant. But yeah. And again, I do think that things are like pretty fucking close here to begin with. Anyways, on to the next topic. I wanted to follow up on this signal that we explored yesterday, the 2-day time frame signal, which was a 2-day Bbwp versus stochastic momentum signal. Basically, the signal is this: anytime that we do see Bbwp, which represents volatility, the dispersion of returns, get down to below 10 percentile, basically, which I define as extreme lows. The expansion phase from there has led to an average move of about 37.5% over many iterations for the past few years here, done over the course of about 17.5 days, and the stochastic momentum also has gone in the correct direction on that move for about almost 82% of the time. Now, we saw that happen in early July / late June, which was driving the upside biases on this channel, and 37.5% of an upside move from that region, would be like $25,500. And thus far, Bitcoin is already from those lows about 33%. So, is this reasonably close enough? I would say yes. And the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because Bitcoin on the 2-day time frame did close below the momentum pivot from yesterday. Now, to fully confirm this signal as nullified, we need to see another close below the momentum pivot, which is $23,060 right now. And that's not happening tonight. It would be tomorrow night. But if that does happen, then yes, then we have seen the totality of this corrective, or this historic move right here. And probably do try some downside. Now, with that in mind, I wanted to bring up a few of the things that I think kind of corroborate that story. So for that, we need to go over here. And let's actually go to the daily. Yes, we're already on the daily. And what do you know? The daily time frame does have some bearish divergence in play right here. I'd actually want to see this one still kind of close below yesterday's low, which is 23,240, to fully confirm that. But yeah, that's not, well, the most bullish thing of all time. If we go to the 2-day time frame, you'll also notice that Bitcoin does have potential hidden bearish divergence also in play here as well. I'm just trying to find, well, we can just go to this one. I suppose it's fine. But actually not going to be showing it on Caretaker's RSI. I was showing it earlier because Bitcoin was a little bit lower, but if it is below the last 2-day low, which is again 23,240, then yes, not only will we have daily bearish divergence, but you will have hidden bearish divergence on the 2-day time frame. Actually, a couple of drives I should add as well, coming in all the way back from the May highs at $32,000, and that probably is also good enough for a corrective move to the downside. On top of that, if we go over here to the daily stochastic momentum pivot is 23,200 for today. So if it does close below there today at 7 p.m. Eastern time, then yes, that'd be another good indication that very likely do explore some short-term downside before anything else. So that brings up the question, what sort of short-term downside targets would we be looking at? Well, 22,600 would be relevant to the downside. Kind of short term, we've already kind of hit the short term pivot. I think that's also in alignment with one of our fibs here. Let's just double check. Oh, what do you know? The 382, 23, 130 or so, or 113. We've gotten down thus far to 23, 123. I think that's close enough. Yeah, next one is 0.5, 22,650. And then below that, probably looking closer towards 22 to 21 and a half or so. That is a major area, however, because that is where the Boo Law short-term, medium-term hopium starts to subside, as Bitcoin would start to lose its higher low structure here, which I'll just show the hopium as kind of I see it right now, something like this. I really don't care for this sort of analysis. I think like the parabolic advance is more or less bullshit. You can always kind of refit those to whatever bias you might be having. So I try to avoid that kind of bullshit, but in this case, I suppose that would also be in alignment with the 4-hour 200 simple. Anyways, with all of that in mind, I wanted to bring out one last thing here because this is rather important, and well, I'll just show it to you. How about that? Okay, so let me just make sure we're good on time. Yes, we are good on time. Sweet. Alice is popping in the room right now as well if she wants to say hi. And we have on the 5-day time frame here, which is not closing today. It's not closing tomorrow, but closing the day after that at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Potential hidden bearish divergence in play between the potential highs right here in late July versus the highs that we saw in late May, where Bitcoin was again trading around $32,000 on that high. So if that were to get confirmed, meaning that the daily would have to fail its pivot, which was 22.6, or yeah, the daily would have to close below 23, thus be getting targets down to 22.6. You know, if these kind of coincide with each other, then very likely we do see that confirmed, and that would likely imply a move back down to the range lows. You know, I still want to be on record as saying that, you know, it could very easily be that Bitcoin, you know, bounced off the weekly range lows and then, you know, puts in another move towards $26,500. But it's been saying for a while now, you know, I don't think that the lows are in. I just don't have the indications that I'm looking for on a macro low just yet. There's one last piece of hopium that I do have, but maybe I'll save that for another day. But for right now, you know, it's kind of the same thing as before. You know, Bitcoin's been getting many rejections around the same level that we kind of had marked off here for the past, I guess it's like going back to the 20th of July when Bitcoin tested in this region. We needed to see a medium or higher term time frame closure above 24,300 specifically. That did not happen. Yes, it happened on lower term time frames, but that's not why you use lower term time frames, to talk about, you know, daily breakouts, obviously. But in this case, you know, many rejections right there. Probably going to try a little bit of downside, and for the Boo Law's sake, hopefully it puts in a bit of a higher low, basically around $22,000. assuming that 22.6 fails. So kind of just combined a bunch of different timeframes there. I hope that that was clear. But I also wanted to call out one last thing that I basically never talk about, which is candlestick formations, candlestick patterns. And this is a 3 black dildos right here. No, three black crows. What happens after that? We get a nice little boo cake sandwich to the downside typically. This works incredibly well in Forex and also traditional markets. I actually don't observe them too often in cryptocurrency land, so I can't really speak towards that. But in this case, you know, usually not going to be the best sign, to be fair. So ultimately, you know, kind of wrapping up this talk right here, you know, there's going to bounce along the way on the short-term timeframes, but as long as Bitcoin's, you know, not closing medium or higher term timeframes above that 24-3 pivot, I am looking for this one to play out some of those divergences and trade at the downside. And then the real question is Bitcoin put in a higher low? Does it try for a higher low at 22.6? Does it try for a higher low at 20, you know, closer to 22? Does it fail that region and then we actually have like a, you know, like a local high in the 5-day? That's going to be concerning. That's going to drive targets like all the way to the downside of this weekly range. So obviously right now too early to tell within that regard, but we can, you know, we do have those confirmations kind of awaiting on the daily and 2-day timeframes, which is probably going to drive those biases rather largely. So I think that's a good place to be leaving off on this particular video. I want to once again remind myself to talk about Instagram. Been doing a lot of updates even over here in the Finnish forest, which is actually pretty damn cool. If you happen to give a fuck about that sort of stuff, I have that all over my stories right now. And then do I have a Bbwp show anymore? I mean, I still have the Bbwp link, but I don't. But they're not running their promotion right now. So yeah, I guess you're out of luck. No, just kidding. I'm sure they'll have another one relatively soon. In fact, I can talk to the agent guy and see what's up. Alrighty, sweet. I think I'm gonna sign off with that. I want to wish you well. I want to wish you the best. Take care. Much love, and see you hopefully soon.